Have you ever wondered why some leaders and some organizations are more influential, more innovative, and more profitable than others? Have you ever asked why they command such loyalty from both their customers and their employees? It's not always about having the most money or the best products. It isn't luck, and it isn't a secret formula that only a few can access. There is a pattern, a simple but powerful idea that all great and inspiring leaders and organizations share. They all think, act, and communicate in the exact same way. And it's the complete opposite of how everyone else does it. They start with a simple question: why? This single question holds the key to unlocking extraordinary success. Most of us communicate by starting with what we do. We then move to how we do it, and we rarely, if ever, get to why we do what we do. But the inspired leaders, the ones who make a lasting impact, reverse this order entirely. They start with their purpose, their cause, their belief. They start with their why. This approach doesn't just change what they say, it fundamentally changes the connection they build with people. It's the difference between selling a product and starting a movement, between managing a team and leading a tribe of believers who are dedicated to a common vision. Think about the leaders you admire most. Think about the brands you are fiercely loyal to. What is it about them that resonates so deeply? It's rarely just about the quality of their work or the features of their products. It is about something deeper. It's that we sense they stand for something. We feel a connection to their underlying purpose. They give us a reason to care beyond the transaction. This is the magic of starting with why. It taps into the very core of human motivation and creates a bond that is built on shared values and beliefs, not on price points or special features. This is not a new idea, but it is one that is often forgotten in our rush to achieve results. We get so focused on the what, the metrics, the sales targets, the daily tasks, that we lose sight of the reason we started in the first place. This essay is a journey back to that starting point. It is an exploration of how a clear sense of why can transform businesses, inspire teams, and build movements that change the world. It is a reminder that people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it, and what you do simply proves what you believe. To understand this powerful concept, we can use a simple framework I call the golden circle. It consists of 3 concentric circles. On the outside, you have what, in the middle, you have how, and right in the very center at the core, you have why. This model explains how some leaders are able to inspire action where others are not. It provides a clear map for how we can think, act, and communicate with purpose. Every single organization on the planet knows what they do. These are the products they sell or the services they offer. It's the most tangible and easily described part of the equation. Moving one layer deeper, we find how. Some organizations know how they do what they do. These are the things that make them special or set them apart from their competition. You might call it your differentiating value proposition, your proprietary process, or your unique selling proposition. The hows are often used to explain how something is different or better. They are the processes, the systems, and the values that guide the actions of the organization. While fewer companies can clearly articulate their how, it's still a rational and understandable concept for most of us to grasp. But at the very heart of the golden circle lies the why. Very few people or organizations can clearly articulate why they do what they do. And I don't mean to make a profit. That's a result. It's always a result. By why, I mean, what is your purpose? What is your cause? What is your belief? Why does your organization exist? Why do you get out of bed in the morning? And why should anyone care? The why is not about money, it's about contribution and impact. It's the very reason an organization was founded, and it's the reason its employees show up to work with passion. The problem is, most organizations operate from the outside in. They go from the clearest thing to the fuzziest thing. They start with what, then maybe talk about how. But the inspired leaders and organizations, regardless of their size or industry, all think, act, and communicate from the inside out. They start with their why. They begin with their purpose. And then they explain how their values and actions bring that purpose to life. Finally, they show what they do as the tangible proof of their core belief. This small shift in direction makes all the difference. When we communicate from the inside out, starting with why, we are talking directly to the part of the brain that controls decision-making. This is where trust and loyalty are formed. When a company tells us what they do and how they are better, we can understand the facts and figures. It appeals to our rational mind, but it doesn't inspire us. It doesn't build a lasting connection. However, when a company communicates its why, it taps into our emotions. It speaks to our gut feelings. We don't just understand their belief, we feel it. This is how genuine trust is born. Trust is not a checklist item you can achieve with logic. It's a feeling. It emerges when we sense that a person or an organization is driven by something more than self-gain. When we believe they share our values and our worldview, we are more willing to take a risk on them. We are more willing to be loyal, even when a competitor offers a slightly better product or a lower price. This is because the relationship is no longer transactional. It has become personal. We see their success as our success because we are part of the same tribe, believe in the same cause. Think about it in your own life. You don't trust someone just because they do everything you ask. You trust them because you believe they have your best interests at heart. The same principle applies in business. Customers become loyal when they believe a company shares their values. Employees become passionate and dedicated when they believe in the mission of their organization. They aren't just working for a paycheck, they are working to advance a cause they believe in. This is the foundation of a strong and resilient culture. Loyalty is the result of a clearly articulated why. Ultimately, the goal is not just to do business with everyone who needs what you have. The goal is to do business with people who believe what you believe. When you start with why, you attract those people. You don't have to convince them or sell them hard. They are drawn to you because you give them a way to express their own identity and beliefs through the products they buy and the brands they support. This is how you build a following, a community of loyal fans who will stick with you through thick and thin, all because they trust in your why. Apple is a perfect example of a company that leads with why. If Apple were like everyone else, a marketing message from them might sound like this. We make great computers. They're beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. Want to buy one? This is a message that starts with what? It's clear, logical, and completely uninspiring. It describes the product features, but it doesn't give us a reason to care. Most companies communicate this way. It's why so many brands feel interchangeable and commodity-like. They tell us what they do, but not why it matters. But Apple doesn't do that. Apple thinks, acts, and communicates from the inside out. They start with their why. Their marketing message sounds very different, and it always has. It goes something like this. Everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. Notice, they haven't even mentioned a product yet. They've told us their purpose, their cause, they've stated their belief. This is what draws people in. It's a declaration of who they are and what they stand for. It resonates with anyone who sees themselves as a creative, an innovator, or a challenger of the norm. Only after establishing their why do they move to how. They continue, the way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. This explains how they bring their belief to life. Their commitment to design and simplicity isn't just a random feature, it's a direct consequence of their core purpose to challenge complex and intimidating technology. The how is the set of actions and values that make the why tangible. It's the bridge between their belief and their products. It demonstrates their commitment to their cause in a very practical way. Finally, they get to what. We just happen to make great computers. Want to buy one? After we have bought into their why and understand how they do it, the what, the computer, the phone, the tablet, simply serves as the proof of their belief. We don't just buy an Apple product, we buy what Apple stands for. People will stand in line for hours to buy the newest iPhone, not just because of its technology, but because it's a symbol. It's a way for them to show the world that they, too, believe in challenging the status quo. Apple doesn't sell products, it sells a lifestyle, an identity, a cause. So, there are only two ways to influence human behavior. You can manipulate it, or you can inspire it. Manipulation is, honestly, incredibly common in business and marketing. It includes tactics like dropping prices, running promotions, using fear or peer pressure, and making, aspirational claims. These tactics work. They can absolutely generate transactions and drive short-term results. When a store offers a deep discount, people will often buy. And when a marketer uses fear-based messaging, it can prompt a quick decision. But these gains are always temporary. The danger of manipulation is that it does not breed loyalty. The moment the promotion ends or a competitor offers a better deal, the customer is gone. The loyalty is to the deal, not to the company. This creates a constant cycle of manipulation, a sort of race to the bottom where brands are forced to offer more and more incentives just to keep up. It's honestly a stressful and expensive way to do business. It also erodes trust over time. Customers become conditioned to wait for the next sale, and employees can become cynical when they see their company relying on short-term gimmicks instead of a long-term vision. Inspiration, on the other hand, is about building something that lasts. Inspiration is what happens when you start with why. Instead of trying to convince people with external rewards, you connect with them on a deeper emotional level. You share your belief, your vision for a better future. You invite them to join you on a journey. When people are inspired, they don't need to be incentivized. They act because they want to, not because they have to. Their motivation comes from within. They become part of a community, united by a shared purpose. This is what creates true loyalty. Leaders who inspire don't focus on what needs to be done, they focus on why it needs to be done. They paint a picture of the destination and trust their people to figure out the best route to get there. This creates an environment of accountability, innovation, and passion. People who are inspired will go the extra mile, not because they are told to, but because they believe in the cause. They see their work as a contribution to something bigger than themselves. Manipulation may win you a sale, but inspiration is what wins hearts and minds, creating followers and fans for life. History provides us with powerful examples of the Golden Circle in action. Consider the story of the Wright brothers. They were not the best-funded or most qualified team trying to achieve powered flight. Samuel Pierpont Langley, a highly respected scientist with a grant from the War Department, had the resources, the connections, and the dream team. But Langley was driven by what? He wanted to be famous and rich. He was chasing a result. The Wright brothers, Orville and Wilbur, were driven by why. They had a deep belief that flight could change the world and benefit humanity. They were inspired by a cause. This difference in motivation was everything. Langley's team worked for a paycheck. The Wright brothers' team worked for a belief. On December 17, 1903, in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, the Wrights took to the sky. They did it with a fraction of the resources Langley had. Their passion and unwavering belief in their why fueled their innovation and resilience. When Langley heard that the Wrights had succeeded, he quit. He wasn't in it for the cause, he was in it for the glory. The Wright brothers, driven by their why, went on to change the course of human history. Their story proves that passion for a purpose will always outperform the pursuit of a result. Another profound example is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He didn't go around telling people what needed to change in America. He didn't present a 12-point plan to fix civil rights. Instead, he shared his belief. He gave the "I have a dream" speech, not the "I have a plan" speech. He talked about his vision for the future, a future where people would be judged not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. He gave people a why to believe in. He articulated a positive vision of the world that people wanted to live in. On that summer day in 1963, 250,000 people showed up at the Lincoln Memorial. They didn't come for Dr. King, they came for themselves. They came because they shared his dream. They believed in the same why. He was simply the leader who gave a voice to the belief that so many already held in their hearts. He didn't manipulate or coerce anyone. He inspired them. He started with why, and in doing so, he ignited a movement that changed a nation. His leadership demonstrates that when you give people a cause to rally around, they will move mountains for you. The Golden Circle is not just a feel-good idea or a communication theory, it's deeply rooted in the biology of the human brain. If you look at a cross-section of the brain from the top down, you'll see it's broken into 3 major components that correspond perfectly with the Golden Circle. Our newest brain, the neocortex, corresponds with the what level. The neocortex is responsible for all of our rational and analytical thought and language. It allows us to understand facts, figures, features, and benefits. It's the part of the brain that processes the outside of the Golden Circle. The middle 2 sections of the brain make up our limbic system. The limbic brain corresponds with the how and why levels of the Golden Circle. This part of the brain is responsible for all of our feelings, like trust and loyalty. It's also responsible for all human behavior and all our decision-making. However, our limbic brain has no capacity for language. This is where gut decisions come from. It's not our stomach, it's a feeling we get about a decision that we struggle to explain in words. We feel it's the right thing to do. This is why it can be so difficult to articulate our feelings. When we say things like, I don't know, it just doesn't feel right, we are describing the limbic brain's response. We are trying to put words to a decision that came from a part of the brain that doesn't control language. This biological disconnect is why starting with why is so powerful. When we communicate from the outside in, from what to why, people can understand what we are saying, but it doesn't drive their behavior. We're engaging their rational neocortex, but not the decision-making limbic brain. But when we communicate from the inside out, starting with why, we are talking directly to the part of the brain that controls behavior and emotion. Then we can allow people to rationalize that decision with the tangible things we say and do, the what. This is where gut feelings come from. When you lead with your belief, you make a direct connection with the emotional decision-making center of the brain. People don't just hear what you believe, they feel it. This is how you inspire action and build relationships founded on trust, not just on rational calculations. Having a clearly stated why is only the beginning. For your why to have any real power, it must be authentic. And authenticity requires that everything you do and say is in alignment with your core belief. This is where the how and the what come into play. Your hows are your values or the operating principles that guide your actions. They are the ways you bring your why to life. If your why is your belief, your hows are the actions you take to realize that belief. They must be consistent and disciplined. For example, if a company's why is to empower creativity, their hows might include principles like foster collaboration, encourage experimentation, and design for simplicity. These values must then be reflected in everything the company does, from its hiring practices and office culture to its product development process. You cannot claim to believe in collaboration and then put everyone in siloed departments where they never interact. Your hows must be the living embodiment of your why. This is what creates integrity and proves to the world that you are who you say you are. Finally, your what, your products, services, and marketing, is the result of your why and how. The what is the tangible proof of what you believe. When your why, how, and what are all in balance, you have authenticity. People can see your belief in your actions and in the things you produce. But when they are out of balance, when your what contradicts your why, it creates a sense of unease and mistrust. This is what happens when a company known for quality starts cutting corners to save money. Their what is no longer proving their why, and the trust begins to erode. This alignment is crucial for building lasting customer loyalty. Customers who are drawn to your why want to see that belief reflected in their experience. They want to know that the company they support is living its values. When a company's actions are consistent with its stated purpose, it reinforces the customer's decision to trust them. This creates a powerful feedback loop. The more you live your why, the more you attract people who believe what you believe, and the stronger your community becomes. Authenticity is the ultimate currency of trust. The principles of the Golden Circle apply to everyone, not just to large corporations. They apply to small business owners, to leaders of teams, to individuals looking for more fulfillment in their careers. Finding your why is the first step toward living a more inspired life and leading in a way that truly makes a difference. Your why comes from your past. It is born out of your life experiences, the highs and lows that have shaped who you are. It's not something you invent, it's something you discover. It has been with you all along. Once you have discovered your why, the next step is to learn how to articulate it. Put it into simple, clear words. A strong why statement should be easy to understand and easy to share. It should be something that can guide your decisions, big and small. It becomes your filter. Does this opportunity align with my why? Does this action move me closer to the world I imagine? When your why is clear, making choices becomes simpler and more meaningful. You no longer just chase what is shiny, you pursue what is significant. The final and most important step is to share your why with others. True leadership is not about being in charge, it's about taking care of those in your charge. And the best way to do that is to give them a reason to come to work that is bigger than just a paycheck. Share your vision. Talk about your belief. Invite them to join your cause. When people feel like they are part of something bigger than themselves, they will give you their blood, sweat, and tears. They will innovate, collaborate, and solve problems because they are inspired. So, I leave you with this challenge. Start the journey to find your own why. Look to your past, identify the themes that have given your life meaning, and craft a statement of your purpose. Then, have the courage to share it. Whether you lead a company of thousands or are simply leading your own life, starting with why will change everything. It will help you find the passion that drives you and in turn, inspire everyone around you. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. Find your why and you will find your way to inspire the world.